Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching Tesla Time News.
Episode 242.
On Now You Know. We're brought to you by our amazing Patreon patrons. You can support creating independent news here every week by heading over to patreon.com/nowyouknow, and there you'll find some awesome perks.
This episode is sponsored by Privacy.
Privacy is a service that lets you do your shopping online using virtual cards instead of having to use your real ones, protecting your identity and bank information on the internet.
Right now, new customers will get $5 to spend on your first purchase. Go to privacy.com/nowyouknow to sign up.
So here's 3 reasons why you're going to like Privacy. Number 1, anonymous shopping. With Privacy, you can use whatever cardholder name and billing information you want at checkout.
Number 2, worried about sketchy websites? Use Privacy like using cash, so you don't have to worry that they'll have access to your banking information.
And number 3, merchant locked cards. With Privacy, your card's locked to the first merchant they're used at, so if your details get stolen, the thief won't be able to use the card anywhere else.
Oh, which means that you only have to replace the card for that one merchant.
Exactly, which takes less than a minute.
So head over to privacy.com/nowyouknow and sign up for an account. New customers will automatically get $5 to spend on your first purchase.
Go to privacy.com/nowyouknow and sign up now. And we're sponsored by BigBattery.com with the best battery prices in the USA, guaranteed. If you've got something you need to power from homes to cars, RVs to boats, and much more, BigBattery.com has you covered, offering the newest battery tech. Use the code NOWYOUKNOW to save 5% off your purchase today at BigBattery.com. All right, so it was announced on Saturday that Elon Musk will host Saturday Night Live with musical guest Miley Cyrus on May 8th.
It's Saturday Night Live with Elon Musk and musical guest Miley Cyrus.
Elon is funny on Twitter. He's not the best live.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about that. I got to be honest. I mean, I was looking up past hosts on Saturday Night Live. Elon will, first of all, of course, be the richest host. But there's been very few non-entertainers or sports stars who have been on the show. And normally when they do have like a sports star or a non-entertainer, they're not that funny. And the cast has to really pull them through. Like Steve Forbes was on there in 1996. He was, up till then, I think the richest guy they had on there, worth $430 million. And I mean, they've had politicians like Jesse Jackson or John McCain. So, I mean, I think the big question on everyone's mind would be then, will Elon hit or flop on Saturday Night Live? And we're going to have a poll on Patreon to help predict that because our Patreons are usually right.
So if the SNL writers really play their A game with the comedy writing during Elon's week, I think that they can support him and pull off a really funny show. But I think that the topics and sketches they choose are going to be really important.
Yeah, I mean, if they do a bunch of sketches about Elon being the super rich guy, then I don't think it's going to be that good. But if they pick some really funny sketch ideas, then I think it could be awesome. So if you want to help Elon, we have an open post on Patreon where you can post your ideas. What kind of sketch do you think could be super funny?
We'll choose a few of the ideas that we like best and report on them next week. And who knows, maybe an idea will make it to some of the SNL comedy writers looking for inspiration, and you might be responsible for making Elon a hit on SNL.
Because here's the thing. What if Elon's really funny and it helps introduce Elon to a whole new segment of the population that doesn't know who he is? I mean, I know everyone's heard the name Elon Musk and they've probably heard it associated with Tesla or SpaceX, but like there's probably a lot of people who don't really know him. I mean, I got introduced to Awkwafina that way on Saturday Night Live. I didn't know who she was till she hosted the show, and now she's one of my favorite comedians.
True. I think that he might not even need to be funny. I think that it might be better if he was just sincere. Of just like, oh, I want the world to be a better place.
So if he plays like the straight guy.
Yeah, and, because then everyone else can be kind of crazy. What I want to see is Elon playing Vinny Bamboozolini. I want to see him try to sell gas cars to people.
That would be fun.
That would be really funny.
Yeah, if he and Pete Davidson played, 2 guys from New Jersey, could be awesome. That's my idea for you guys. I'll license it to you. All right, so of course the mass media was going to gobble up this story that came out early last week. Before they even knew what happened, they came out with all of these sensational stories about the fatal car crash involving a Tesla in Texas. No one was driving the car. Now, the reason we didn't come out with this story last week was there just wasn't enough information yet, but now we know a whole lot more. So what do we know?
2 men died in the accident that happened Friday, April 16th at 11:25 p.m. when the Tesla they were in struck a tree near 18 Hammock Dunes Place, Spring, Texas.
Now, Harris County Precinct 4 Constable Mark Herman told KPRC2 that the investigation showed no one was driving the 2019 Tesla Model S when the accident happened.
There was a person in the passenger seat in the front of the car, and there was a person in the rear passenger seat of the car.
Okay, so number one, a Tesla will not drive itself without someone in the driver's seat unless you keep the seatbelt buckled. So, I mean, you can fake it out if you want to, but if you get out of the driver's seat and unbuckle and then try and sit in the passenger seat or the back seat, the car will immediately stop driving.
And if you open the door, there's a lot of things that could stop the car from driving. If
Right.
you nudge the steering wheel, there's a bunch of things. Another thing to point out, guy in the passenger seat, 70 years old.
Right.
Just, okay.
I'm 50 years old and I don't feel like climbing over anything in the car. So I think when I'm 70, I'm not going to be spry enough to, leap over things to try and fool full self-driving.
Yes.
But there's more. Reportedly, firefighters put out the fire quickly, but it took another 4 hours and 20 to 30,000 gallons of water to actually get the batteries to stop reigniting. And that's because, as we all know who watch the show, water and lithium don't mix.
The scary part about this is that every fire department is its own individual agency. And so if they don't know how to do something, they just don't know how to do it.
Right.
It's probably a wake-up call for this fire department. I'm glad that they now know. But hey, if you have any connection to your local fire department, just make sure they know how to deal with electric cars because they're going to be more prevalent as the years go on.
Now, the NTSB is now investigating the crash, and autopsies are being performed on both men who died to determine the cause of death.
The police said that the vehicle was traveling at a high rate of speed when it failed to negotiate a cul-de-sac turn, ran off the road, and hit the tree. And we can see the tire marks left here.
Now, KPRC2 reporter Devin Clark spoke to one man's brother-in-law who said he was taking the car out for a spin with his best friend, so they were just two people in the vehicle. The owner, he said, backed out of the driveway and then may have hopped in the back seat only to crash a few hundred yards down the road, and he said the owner was found in the back seat upright. So one of the reasons we waited to report on this is that there was more information coming in, like this tweet from Ahmad who said, "This doesn't make sense. There are safety measures in place with the autopilot seat is weighted to make sure there's a driver. Hands must be on the steering wheel every 10 seconds or it disengages. Autopilot doesn't go over the speed limit. It's impossible. Research, please." And Elon said,
"Your research as a private individual is better than the professionals," at Wall Street Journal. "Data logs recovered so far show autopilot was not enabled, and this car did not purchase full self-driving. Moreover, standard autopilot would require lane lines to turn on, which this street did not have."
Earl of Super Frunk Puppy said, "Media really ramping up attacks against Tesla, autopilot, Tesla Solar, one-pedal driving, the Tesla community, and Elon. Someone is scared. Bullish Tesla."
Elon says, "Does seem a little weird."
So the logs show that the Tesla was not in autopilot. And as Elon said, this car didn't have full self-driving. So now normally when the NTSB is involved in a crash investigation, all the parties involved are supposed to stay quiet to the media for the entire investigation, which typically can take about 2 years.
Tesla has previously gotten its hand slapped by the NTSB for publicly disclosing facts about the case before the investigation was closed, and Elon appears to be following that course of action here with his tweets that he already released. And I don't blame him. I mean, why should he stay silent while the court of public opinion blames Tesla for these deaths when it was most likely not Tesla's fault?
And I think anytime there's death, it's tragic. But you know what's even more tragic? More death. And you know what's going to cause more deaths? If the public and regulators get the wrong idea about Tesla. Because Teslas are the safest cars, both in an accident and in keeping you from getting into an accident.
100 Americans died in other car accidents on Friday, April 16th. Is the NTSB investigating those too?
No, you know why? Because we've just accepted that thousands of people are going to die in cars around the world every day.
And I think that we have a little bit more to talk about on this. We've kind of run out of time to do it on this show, but we're going to talk about it more on the Patreon bonus stories. So if you want to check that out, you can head over to patreon.com/nowyouknow.
Because I've got a theory.
But of course, the story is not over because Consumer Reports just had to chime in the most unhelpful way possible. So they created this video with a Rube Goldberg solution to defeating safety features, proving Darwinism. So here's how it works, right? You buckle the seatbelt behind you in the car, which is illegal in most states that require seatbelt laws, which I think is all states.
Okay.
Okay. So you do that. Then you put the car in autopilot.
Okay.
They were doing it on a test track. If you did it on a public road, I think this is going to get very illegal very quickly. Then you can set the speed to 0.
Gotcha.
Then you can shift over to the passenger seat. But before you do, you need to have a specially weighted thing that you're going to hang on the steering wheel.
Okay.
Which
to
is
fool
going
the steering wheel?
to defeat the steering wheel checks.
Okay. So far, easy.
So easy stuff. This is the kind of thing that everyone would think of doing.
Right.
Right. So you shift over to the passenger seat. Then you can use the scroll wheel to increase the speed of autopilot up to, I guess, just whatever speed you feel like.
Well, I mean, I got to agree with Consumer Reports. Tesla should take more caution with their safety systems. This is so easy, anybody would do it.
Exactly. So I just want to get this straight, though. You're going to go through all these steps and think that this is the magical way to unlock full self-driving. That basically anyone that would go through all of these steps would have an intimate understanding of Tesla Autopilot. They would know that they would need to weigh the steering wheel. They would know that they'd need to be buckled. And yet they would also think that the car would be able to fully self-drive.
Right.
No, that's not true. Anyone who's ever used Autopilot knows that it's not perfect and that they wouldn't trust their life with it.
I do want to point out, the Consumer Reports is right here. In a regular ICE car, you can't do anything dangerous. There's safety features.
Right. Well, no, there isn't.
Like what?
Ghost ride the whip, ghost ride the whip, ghost ride the whip, ghost ride the whip. Now scrape.
Now, a lot of people are saying that this is equivalent to putting a brick on the gas pedal. And that is absolutely true. The amount of effort that you have to go through. But most cars, you don't even have to put anything on the gas pedal. You can get out of the car and ghost ride the whip.
Ghost ride the whip.
Yeah. Every single automatic transmission car will let you simply get out of the car and let it roll away. Now, will it be going at high speed? No. Will it kill people? Yes, and has killed people. The guy who played Chekhov in the latest Star Trek died. Why? Because he got out of his car, it wasn't in park, and it rolled into him, pinned him against a wall, and killed him.
Yeah.
So, Consumer Reports, help us with the vast majority of cars on the road all have this problem. And where is Consumer Reports? Why don't we have... we have safety sensors that know when the door is open, that know when the seat is unlocked. In fact, if only Tesla could have these safety features. Oh, wait, they f***ing already do. If I have many times pulled up my car to somewhere, opened the door, it beeps at me and said, hey, you didn't put the car in park. Don't worry. Got you, bro.
Right.
Park the car for you.
I'm not going to roll the car into you.
Thank you, car, for not trying to kill me. It's so infuriating that Consumer Reports would go this extra step in 2 days to put out a video showing something that's just utterly insane.
It's misleading.
It's completely misleading, and I do not trust them at all. If you are subscribed to Consumer Reports, f***ing stop paying them money. They're crazy people.
Yeah, as Jim Hall tweeted out, Consumer Reports engineers easily tricked all non-Tesla cars this week without anyone in the driver's seat, a scenario that would present extreme danger if repeated on public roads. Everyone should be very, very afraid. We're super serious. Thanks, Consumer Reports, for the invaluable info. Went on to say, in our evaluation, the brick not only failed to make sure the driver was paying attention, but it also couldn't tell if there was a driver there at all, says Jake Fisher, Consumer Reports Senior Director of Auto Testing, who conducted the experiment, and Elon laughed hysterically.
So this is just an infuriating story. If you want to share it with your friends, because I'm sure that they're bothering you being like, oh, did you hear about the Tesla that crashed? We have a clips channel. So we cut up this story. You can send them just this story. And then you don't even have to explain anything to them, because that's the whole reason I do the show. So I can send it to people who message me online and they're like, well, what about this? And I can just say, shut up.
All right, so it all started like it often does with a tweet last Wednesday from Brett Winton, the analyst at ARK Invest. He said, I have solar installed by Tesla since January, hasn't generated a single watt hour, waiting for utility to approve the connection. And I know how this feels, because 8 years ago when we got solar on the roof, they installed it all. It was sunny days for weeks and months, and we had to wait to turn it on because the damn utility took months to sign the permit.
And Elon tweeted back, he said, did you buy a Powerwall? Utility permission is required for flowing electricity back to grid, but usually not if stored in our battery. This also enables 24/7 electricity security for your home. Utility permission is needed for when Powerwall is full and can stabilize grid.
Then 2 hours later, Elon tweeted, starting next week, Tesla solar panels and solar roof will only be sold as an integrated product with Tesla Powerwall battery. Now, we kind of knew that this was probably coming because we saw it on the website, but it hadn't been officially announced till now. Then Elon said solar power will feed exclusively to Powerwall. Powerwall will interface only between utility meter and house main breaker panel, enabling super simple install and seamless whole house backup during utility dropouts. And then the big announcement. Powerwall 2 peak and steady power capability is better than advertised. Now that we have lots of operational data, Tesla can unlock higher capabilities for free via software update next month. Depending on production date, power increase may be over 50% at 30 degrees Celsius ambient temperature.
So power increase may be greater than 50%. Now, let's not get power confused with capacity.
Right.
Powerwall 2 has a capacity of 13.5 kilowatt hours. It has a 5 kilowatt continuous or 7 kilowatt peak power. So that's the amount of power that it can deliver.
Oh, right. So if I'm thinking about wanting to power different circuits in my house, I may have to only assign certain circuits to the Powerwall because it might not have enough power.
Right. So if the power went out, you had one Powerwall, you couldn't turn on your electric stove, run 2 hair dryers.
And your air conditioner.
Your air conditioner and charge your car all at the same time.
Right.
It just doesn't have enough power output.
Okay, but what is the new power going to be?
It's going to be 7.5 kilowatts continuous and 10.5 kilowatts peak. But wait, there's more.
Anna Bonilla said, I noticed my brand new Tesla 7.6 kilowatt inverter doing 7.9 kilowatts?
Elon said newest units can probably do as much as 10 kilowatts continuous and double that in peak power at 30 degrees ambient temperature. In house power vernacular, this translates to 80 LRA, soft start of 3.5 ton HVAC. 2 Powerwalls would double this, 3 would triple, etc.
Okay, so if you're saying, what is LRA? Do I have to learn a new term? Kind of. It's locked rotor amps. It's basically the very high current or amperage that a motor draws when power is first applied. You can think of this as when you turn on your air conditioner, and for about a second, there's this surge of power needed to get that motor started, and then it calms down from there. But if you don't have that power when it first starts, you'll blow a breaker.
So Powerwalls and solar inverters just got better with an over-the-air update. And now you have to buy at least one Powerwall to get solar. So why did he do this? Why not just sell you the solar?
Well, because I think 3 possible reasons. Number 1, he said it right there pretty clearly. Solar power will feed exclusively to Powerwall. Powerwall will interface only between the utility meter and the house main breaker panel, enabling super simple install and seamless whole house backup during utility dropouts. So the Powerwall has now become integral to the process. It makes installation cheaper. And my big question is, did he move the gateway and the solar inverter into the Powerwall? Those are those 2 separate boxes you need when you're doing a solar install. And my thought the whole time was a lot of that box, when you open those up, is air. There's some parts in there and there's some connections, but largely it's just a little computer and some connections. And my thought was, why didn't he just put this in the Powerwall?
Right. And to begin with, Solar City was doing their own thing. There was no such thing as the Tesla Powerwall. Right. They were not a merged together, vertically integrated company. So it makes sense that, Solar City would have to develop their own kind of gateway and things. In fact, we have one on our house because when you signed up for solar, Solar City existed and that's who you talk to.
Right.
But now, it's why have a box that's going to need to communicate to Wi-Fi and then have another box right next to it that's also going to have to communicate to Wi-Fi, and then a third box that's going to need an inverter when there's already an inverter in the other box. It's take all of those things, put them all together. You might need a few parts here or there, but it could save a whole bunch of money and install and look nicer.
Exactly.
Which Elon hasn't even pointed out. But we don't know if it's 100% true or accurate yet.
Right. Number 2 could be if you have solar only, then you kind of forget you have it, right? Don't get me wrong, it's awesome, but it just works week after week, month after month. It's just doing its thing, making energy. But with the Powerwall, now the customer is more involved. You see the times when it saves you from blackouts. You get to see your Powerwall on your app, and you see that it's sending power to the grid and making you money. And
I remember. Yeah. We were riding our bikes around once we had this freak windstorm in our town, knocked down a ton of trees. Power was out pretty much throughout the whole town. We had power because of the Powerwalls. We were going for a bike ride. We went past a house. Big tree had come down, knocked out their power. They were going to lose it for a couple days at least. They had solar on the roof. And so we stopped by and we said, hey, do you guys have power? And they're like, no. We're like, well, if you had a battery pack, you would have power.
Exactly.
And meanwhile, they're running a generator.
Right.
When they're literally should be generating energy right on their roof.
Because they're missing the Powerwall.
Exactly.
And the third conjecture here, and this is a conjecture alert.
Conjecture time.
Is that this could be the beginning of microgrids. I mean, is this the beginning of this more widespread virtual power plants that we've been talking about? Maybe Elon's tweet backs me up. He then said on April 22nd, Tesla Solar plus Powerwall battery enables consumers to be their own utility.
So could he be meaning that more literally than what it already literally kind of means?
He went on to say, I'm staying at a friend's place in Florida that is 85% powered by Tesla Solar roof and Powerwall. When grid power goes down, air conditioning automatically turns off in some of the house. Computers and lights don't even flicker. Owner says he doesn't even notice.
And I mean, one time tree fell on our power. And
Right when we were doing the show.
recording the show, and it kept working. So we know that that's true.
Now, Electrek is reporting that some Tesla Solar Roof customers who have seen the price of Solar Roof go up are now being offered free Powerwalls to take the sting off.
Powerwalls are no longer being sold separately, but before the bundling with Solar Roof started, they cost $7,500 each before installation.
And here's the thing. If you're going to get a Powerwall installed, it costs the $7,500 for the Powerwall and then a few $1,000 for the installation. By bundling it with solar, you already got the guys here and the trucks here and all that stuff here. And so the price of the whole operation goes way down.
And I think that this just reinforces the evidence that we had for reason number one. But let us know what you think in the comments down below. Why is Elon doing this? So the Model 3 and Y are once again getting price changes.
Yeah, the Model 3 Standard Range Plus, well, the price went up $500 from $38,490 to $38,990.
The long range all-wheel drive price went up $500 from $47,490 to $47,990.
And the performance stayed the same at $56,990.
And the Model Y long range all-wheel drive went up $500 from $50,490 to $59,990.
And the performance Model Y stayed the same at $69,990. Now, if this were a car dealership, you'd have no idea that the price changed, as Vinny pointed out recently.
Hide the price.
It could be demand. It could be the tax credit. It could be a whole lot of things. And normally we don't even notice those changes because we don't know about them.
But of course, people can see it, and some people start to freak out. Some people are worried that it's
Well, they think that it's part of a bigger plan or something.
And it could be. And it could be what Tesla's thinking. I mean, they could be thinking, there might be this $10,000 at the dealer rebate coming in. So let's start raising the price so we can actually capitalize on it, because it would only be the consumer that would be saving the money. When the whole point is to incentivize EV adoption. It's a big question. I don't know. It would make sense to do these little price hikes over time.
So Rivian has been busy again this week.
Yeah, there's insurance and service and charging stations.
And now there's accessories.
Oh, right. Their camp kitchen and that rooftop tent thing, which were both, I guess, going to be covered by insurance.
And now we're even getting these sneaky images from the Rivian forum. They apparently were snooping around the restricted section of the Rivian website, and they spotted some stuff they weren't supposed to see.
So first are the rooftop tents, which we saw Rivian testing something like these a while ago. And if you want a rooftop tent, well, you're going to need a roof rack to go with it.
Oh, right. I forgot.
And actually, I saw these at the Rivian unveiling down in New York.
Okay.
I think you were off in Europe. And I actually got to play around with these things. You can unclip them and clip them on really easily.
Really?
Yeah, because normally there's screws. I don't know if that was the final design, but it looks almost identical.
They're going to take the whole weight of a tent, with people in it?
I don't know.
All
Maybe
right.
you put it right on, the supports or something like that.
But there's more stuff.
There is more stuff. So we got a bike mount, snowboard mount, surfboard mount, kayak mount.
Wow.
And then there's the gear shuttle.
What's the gear shuttle?
I know, it sounds awesome. Basically, it looks like what the camp kitchen would be mounted to. So
Okay.
remember, the camp kitchen came out of their gear tunnel. And I mean, part of me was thinking when I first saw the gear tunnel, I was like, that's awesome. I want to get in it for some reason. And then my third thought was, how do you you have to reach way in there over this step thing? Apparently not. Apparently you're going to have this shuttle thing that you put all the stuff on, and it could be it can act as a bench or a table, but then you can just kind of fold it up, slide everything away, so all the duffel bags, and even if you had little finicky bits that would be hard to like put in or grab out of a tube, you'd be able to slide it in and out.
Do you think it has like attachment points for bungees and stuff? Is that
I think so, because I mean that's going to basically be the base of the camp kitchen.
Could be cool.
It's very cool. It gets me really excited about thinking about all the different possibilities. But that's not even all.
What else is there?
Floor mats.
Okay.
So I guess
Fancy
they're
floor
going to
mats.
sell their own fancy floor mats. Recovery kits. So, basic.
Oh, like toe straps and stuff.
Yeah, toe straps. And then those things, which I think are, you like put them down to drive over like really deep chasms that your tires couldn't. So, yeah, cool that they're selling all this stuff. And it might be that some of this stuff is covered under the insurance.
Nice.
So, I mean, that would be nice. Now, we don't know if all of this stuff will be coming. Rivian asked the forum to remove the pictures. So it's likely that this stuff might be subject to change. But it does all look pretty well thought out. I mean, obviously, we didn't like see a lot of these things in action, but it's just nice that the Rivian's thinking through all of these different things, since it's going to be this adventure vehicle. Really kind of shows like I kind of want Tesla to make some of this stuff for their cars, All
right, so Elon was sporting a new haircut as he and XPrize chairman Peter Diamandis announced the details of the $100 million XPrize carbon removal project last Thursday near Cape Canaveral, Florida. Elon Musk's foundation has donated $100 million to the winning teams who can demonstrate CO2 removal at 1,000 tons per year scale, model the cost at 1,000,000 tons per year, and present a plan to sustainably reach gigatons per year scale in the future.
This would be the most money ever paid out by XPrize.
And what's cool to note is that students can enter as well. There's no age limit. So like if you've got some ideas, there are actually going to be student teams as well.
And the interesting thing about this presentation was that Elon was just kind of allowed to talk about what motivated him. And it was really cool because he talked about space travel, business, and what drives him. It's a really great video to watch. We'll put the link in the show notes down below.
All right, it's time for Going Green, and we're sponsored by EcoWare. And you know what? We always talk about buy a tea, plant a tree. Last week you told us that was wrong.
It was wrong. Yeah, we're going to do, I was saying we were going to do 5 trees.
Well, it's wrong again.
Was back to 1, I guess?
No, we increased it to 10 trees. Buy a tea, plant 10 trees for every order. And that's thanks to our friends at the Eden Restoration Project. So we got new designs uploaded every week. We carbon offset the manufacture, the shipping, the life cycle of your purchase. And then on top of that, we plant 10 trees for every order. So talk about being carbon negative. And you're helping support the show here. So Eden's Global Restoration Network is creating livelihoods for millions of people living in extreme poverty by empowering them to restore and protect forests on a massive scale. So just by going to EcoWare and picking something out, you're helping a lot of people around the world.
All right, so what's our green story this week?
Well, this segment is called Going Green, and that is exactly what 79-year-old Texas cattle rancher Buddy Helmers has done. Helmers Ranch, where he raises 125 head of cattle, is located in San Angelo, about 250 miles southwest of Dallas, and it has gone from having oil rigs on it for the last 3 decades to now having 6 giant wind turbines.
As the oil pumps produced less and less oil every year, finally the oil company that built them ceased operations, and so about 10 years ago, Helmers started talking with Infinity Renewables, and finally the half-dozen 2.6 megawatt turbines were installed last year.
French energy giant ENGIE bought out Infinity Renewables and now manages the 76-turbine, 200-megawatt wind farm.
Oh, I see. So the 6 turbines are on Helmers' land?
Yeah, so out of the 76, 6 are on his land. Helmers is now amazed how quiet they are and how steady the income is compared with the boom and bust of oil.
So you remember how we reported that Lordstown's all-electric Endurance was entered into the San Felipe 250 in Baja, California?
Oh, yeah, I remember Lordstown said, our goal is to be the first electric vehicle to ever complete the San Felipe 250, and with the superior traction, weight balance, and advanced software control of our hub motor-based Endurance, we are confident that we will do just that. So, how did it do?
I'll read a quote here. It says, in our pre-race estimates, we assumed a 3 times energy usage compared to normal road conditions at 200 feet elevation. Following stage 1, however, our data showed consumption at 4 times the normal levels. As we recharged for stage 2, we concluded that the next leg could result in our vehicle stopping in the middle of mountainous terrain with no viable or accessible charging options. So we decided not to send the vehicle back out on the course.
All right, so how did it do?
No, they stopped it after the first leg because they didn't have enough range.
So how did it do?
So they didn't complete the San Felipe 250.
Oh. But then
At
why did they
all.
put out this video we're watching? It looks like they won or
Because
something.
they learned something, which is good. Failure is a chance to learn.
That's true.
But I feel like the failure should have come a little bit earlier.
So you're saying, wait a minute, it was just they miscalculated how much energy it would use.
Yes. So they said it was going to take 3 times the energy on a normal road, but it was 4 times, according to them. I feel like it might have been even more. I mean, who knows? But I mean, why? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so if you and I were going to enter a race,
Yes.
and we
If
were
only
like,
we had done something like that. Man, if only you could do testing, or you could test it, or you could do like a test where you could test.
That's what I learned when we did our Pikes Peak run. What I learned was that we had to spend most of the time and money on testing.
Yes.
You don't like the race is hard, yes, but like most of what you learned, you do before the race.
And the testing is what led to the winning. Because if we remember, Randy, the other driver, didn't do too much testing because they had smashed up their car and had to fix it overnight. So didn't do a lot of testing, overheated the battery, couldn't go as fast up the hill, was 8 seconds slow or whatever.
Because I will point out what I've learned from racing, and I'm no race car driver, but is that it's not about mashing the pedal. It's about using your energy properly and knowing when to mash the pedal and when to not mash the pedal.
And this is a completely different thing, right? Because Pikes Peak on a road, so you kind of have an idea. You're going uphill,
Sure,
and so the heat of the battery is the most important thing. The thing here was that here's what I think happened. They were like, okay, we're going to do a race, off-road race, and so in Lordstown, Ohio, they said like, okay, let's take one of the test mules. Go. Do you know like of a place that we could? Oh, I know this trail that we could take down. They take it down a soily kind of rocky road in Ohio. Then they take the car down to Baja, California, take it on some loose sand, which is, if you've ever walked on a beach, you know, is like, oh, I walk near the water because it's less work than having to walk in this like squishy sand. But
here's the thing.
I mean,
it
like,
makes all EVs look bad now. Thanks,
Yes.
Lordstown,
Yeah.
because before we could have like, if we had won the race or come in, respectably, it would have been like, oh, EVs are cool. Now it's like, oh, you guys didn't even make it. And here's the other thing, Lordstown. Rivian's been doing this for years. They've actually been testing so that they know what they're talking about.
Right, and we've seen the Rivian going all sorts of off-road stuff. They didn't really overextend themselves too much, although they've done like the long way up and stuff where, they had to have charging available to them at all different points. And I know that it wasn't like a race so they could take all the time they needed, but like, really? You just were like, oh, harder than we thought. Never mind. Really? You didn't even want to push it? Like, I understand that like electric truck blocks race, ruins the day. I understand that would be a worse headline.
Or
but
maybe second stage, you just don't push it so hard so you conserve more energy.
something.
Yeah, I don't-
Something. It's just, it's annoying.
But speaking of trucks, Tesla Time News is sponsored by Cybertruck Owners Club. There you'll find a crowdsourced reservation tracker that you can update and find your place in line. Check out their website for Cybertruck news, discussions, and community for Cybertruck enthusiasts and future owners.
And they have a 3D configurator allowing you to visualize the Cybertruck in any color, wrap, and logo, both on screen and in augmented reality.
All right, so there's a lot of Tesla China news this week. First up is an incident that happened last Monday at the Shanghai Auto Show. An angry woman, presumably a Tesla owner, jumped up on a Tesla at the Tesla booth with a shirt reading, "Tesla's brakes failed," and screamed, "The brakes don't work!"
She was eventually forcibly removed from the car's roof and was placed in police detention for 5 days.
Now, to understand this incident, we have to first understand what happened leading up to this.
So according to the Global Times, this Tesla owner had been involved in an accident where she claimed that the Tesla brakes did not work properly.
Tesla had issued some social media statements on its Weibo account saying it acknowledges sensible criticism, but at the same time that it will not compromise to meet unreasonable claims.
This garnered tens of thousands of comments, many angry over what some perceived as a cocky response from Tesla.
So it seems that Tesla's social media response made the situation worse. On Tuesday, Tesla issued a statement apologizing that it didn't respond to the owner's complaint quickly, and Tesla said that they will review their Chinese service and operations.
On Tuesday, a black fence was put around the Tesla booth at the auto show. Now Tesla claims that it reached out to the customer, and they've also shared data logs from the car just prior to the accident. This is translated from Chinese.
When the driver stepped on the brake pedal for the last time, the data showed that the speed of the vehicle was 118.5 kilometers per hour. Within 2.7 seconds after the driver stepped on the brake pedal, the maximum brake master cylinder pressure was only 45.9 bar. After that, the driver increased the stepping on the brake pedal, and the brake master cylinder pressure reached 92.7 bar. The front collision warning and automatic emergency braking function were activated. The maximum brake master cylinder pressure reached 140.7 bar and played a role, reducing the amplitude of the collision. 1.8 seconds after the ABS was applied, the system recorded the occurrence of the collision. After the driver stepped on the brake pedal, the vehicle's speed continued to decrease, and before the collision, the vehicle's speed was reduced to 48.5 kilometers per hour.
And just to point out that the speed limit on that road was far, far less than the speed that she was traveling in her Tesla.
Yeah, less than half.
Yeah.
So were the Tesla brakes at fault? Was the driver at fault? This data would suggest that the brakes and the automatic emergency systems responded the way they should have.
But let's take a step back.
Yeah, what's the bigger picture? What's going on here?
As we're about to see from the next story, this is a piece in a bigger puzzle.
I mean, because what's going on in China is similar to what's been going on wherever Tesla sells its cars. Tesla is disrupting the automotive industry.
In China especially, Tesla is the new kid on the block, and there are many powerful auto companies that are threatened.
Now, what would you do if you were one of those Chinese auto companies that sees Tesla as a competitor and a threat?
Might you perhaps play some dirty tricks?
Might you put pressure on the media to run stories about quality issues with Teslas? And might you pay people to do certain things with their Teslas, like get into car crashes and blame the car?
And maybe even make a scene at the auto show?
So if you think we're crazy, this next story shows you what can happen when you create FUD.
Several Tesla owners in Guangzhou, China, reported last week that they were not allowed to drive on the highway.
Yeah, they were pulled over by police over safety concerns.
Now, what caused these safety concerns?
Well, there are reports in the Chinese media of a fatal accident involving a Tesla, which supposedly occurred in the Zhengcheng district of Guangzhou earlier this month.
And details are very sketchy.
And here's the thing, Fudsters. Do you really think that pulling over some Teslas and making a scene at an auto show is going to stop the real message from getting out? Teslas are the safest cars in the world. They are the most efficient and the most amazing. Now, do you think your tactics will really win? Did they work here in the US?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's so weird because China is a little bit different than the United States. If something is going to get picked up by the Chinese media, the Chinese government kind of has to
Okay it,
which is a little different than in the United States, although you could make arguments that's... You could get into that. But anyway, the Chinese government went from really liking Tesla to maybe now are getting some pressure from some of their buddies. And they might be going, hey, do you want to squash Tesla real quick? Like, it was great that you got them over here and we're trying to steal all their technology. It's really going to help NIO and XPeng. And, you know, we can hopefully extract all of their useful trade secrets. But yeah, we don't want them to actually succeed in our country. Right.
I think it's really funny that you're picking on Tesla for quality issues when, I mean, come on. Teslas are not only the safest cars, but they're the best built cars, and especially compared with a lot of their Chinese competitors. I can't believe if you're focusing on quality of their brakes, for instance, that why aren't you focusing on the quality of other car brakes in China?
Well, and I mean, this can lead to like a more nuanced discussion. Obviously, we're not Chinese. I've never even been to China. So like, what would I know? From what I can gather, some companies like VW have done things where like they'll have the same car, like they had the Passat, or however you say it, and the Chinese version inexplicably did so much worse in crash tests because they just made it way worse because they could, because it was in China. So I could see that some people in China would be upset if Tesla was going to do the same thing because they don't.
Not.
But they, as far as we can tell, there's no difference in the lines or the build design of, or anything.
Right.
So yeah, it's a tricky situation. I think that Tesla's going to pull out of it though. So Senator Alex Padilla has introduced Senate Bill 1271. The bill would authorize federal grant money, $25 billion, over the course of 10 years to cover purchasing electric school buses, charging stations, and training to help replace the 500,000 school buses in the United States.
Padilla said, I know firsthand how outdated diesel school buses expose our children to harmful and unnecessary pollution. Growing up in the San Fernando Valley, my lungs would be filled with diesel exhaust by the time I arrived at school each day. Transitioning our school bus fleet to zero-emission vehicles is an essential aspect of building equitable, sustainable infrastructure and is a wise investment in our children, our environment, and our future.
So if you haven't already, please go watch our in-depth on electric school buses. We called it the Magic School Bus because I love that show. We'll put the link right up here. You can also find it down below. There are so many benefits to having EV school buses. I mean, you're reducing pollution being breathed in by young children who are developing their brains. It reduces costs by a lot. And you now have backup energy supply that is mobile. I was hearing an interview of Bluebird the other day, the school bus manufacturer. You could actually drive an electric school bus to, say, like a cell tower, power the cell tower in an emergency so that way people can communicate to emergency response.
Now, if you want to contact your lawmaker to tell them that Senate Bill 1271 is something you want to see passed, then go to democracy.io to send them a message. Now, it takes like 15 seconds to find your lawmakers, and it could make a big difference.
So we'll put that link down below. It is just democracy.io. And you just basically type in your address. They tell you who your lawmakers are and give you a way to send them a message immediately. And you can send them to all your lawmakers at once. So I highly urge you to do that. So at the Shanghai Auto Show, Volkswagen unveiled the third ID production electric car.
The ID3.
No, we already have the ID3.
You just said it was the third ID car, so that would be 1, 2, 3. It'd be the ID3.
Yeah, it's the ID6. They have the 3,
Yeah.
the 4,
And the 5.
6.
Well, you missed one.
3, 4, 6. That's how Volkswagen counts. So there's no 5, there's no 1, there's no 2, because guess what?
What?
Those numbers suck. Nobody likes them. They're prime numbers.
Oh, that's why there's an 8.
Well, they don't have the 8 yet. We were up to 6 so far. Anyway, let's talk about the ID6 E SUV. Here it is.
All right, so this will be a made-in-China model for now, right?
Yes, and here are the specs. Built on the MEB platform, it'll have 58 or 77 kilowatt hours of battery for a range of 436 or 588 kilometers of range.
Which standard?
The NEDC platform, which of
not
course,
even darn close.
Right.
So more like 260 kilometers, 162 miles, or 350 kilometers, 219 miles. And that makes sense because the ID4 just got tested with EPA range of 260. This is a bigger car, so 219 makes sense.
Yes.
So that's what you should expect the car to get.
yeah, so it won't have the best range unless, of course, you're going downhill with the tailwind. So they'll have 3 motor sizes: the 132 kilowatt, the 150 kilowatt, or the 225 kilowatt for a 0 to 60 times of 9.3 to 6.6, which is not great, not terrible,
But it's an SUV.
yeah.
I don't know.
But 9 seconds.
That's pretty
When we're
bad.
talking electric,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, I mean, these are going to be produced at 2 factories in China. They're going to start deliveries in China later this year. But what about the rest of the world?
Volkswagen says worldwide release to follow. It's not clear when that'll be. It's not clear if they're going to keep the exact same design or not.
You know what, though? All this ID series, what I don't like is that 12-inch screen. It just looks dated already.
Yeah, but
Like-
you're very spoiled.
I know
from
I
your
am.
2016 Model X. So,
All right, so one of the forms of power that we don't talk about much is tidal power.
this week, Orbital Marine Power launched their first 2-megawatt tidal turbine called the O2 off the coast of Scotland.
All right, so this is the 74-meter long O2, and it replaces the SR2000 near the Orkney Islands.
And it's basically a very similar tidal turbine system to the SR2000.
Okay, but why don't we hear more about tidal turbine systems? I mean, this looks really cool.
Yeah, and tidal power should be awesome because you get way more power for a given turbine diameter because water is so much denser than air. And if you look at the equation for that, you should be able to generate tons of power with a relatively small turbine.
All right, so let's compare this marine O2 turbine to like a wind turbine.
So the O2 produces 1 megawatt for each of its turbines.
Okay.
A typical modern wind turbine produces 2 to 3 megawatts, depending on the placement and on the model. So that's kind of an interesting comparison, is to compare tidal power to wind power.
So it sounds kind of like a wash. Like One of these can do about the same as a wind turbine.
Right.
Okay. Weight.
The O2 weighs in at 680 tons. A typical wind turbine, blades, and tower weighs about 200 tons, but that doesn't include the concrete footing.
Oh, right.
Which obviously doesn't have any like important parts in it. But
you still got to build it.
You still got to build it.
All right, so maybe that's a wash too then.
Yeah.
Okay. How many homes can they each power?
So the O2 will power about 2,000 homes versus a typical wind turbine can power about 500 homes. And here is where the O2 does have an advantage. A typical wind turbine is producing power about 33% of the time. A marine-powered turbine can be producing closer to all the time. And that's because of predictable currents.
What are the costs?
Now, this isn't entirely fair because the O2 is just being developed and hasn't reached scale, whereas wind turbines are at a much larger scale of production, with many companies building them. But the O2 costs around $10 million, and a typical wind turbine costs about 3 to 4.
So I think it's fair to say that if marine turbines become popular, the prices will drop, to about the wind turbine price range.
Right. But then, of course, there's operation and maintenance. Wind turbines cost between $42,000 to $48,000 a year.
Okay.
Now, we don't have any numbers for the O2 or pretty much any ocean turbines. I'm going to have to guess that it's going to cost more to maintenance in just off of one factor, which is that to get to the turbine, you need a big boat.
That's true.
And you need to be able to lift it out of the water. You need to have all sorts of stuff. Now, with wind turbine, you need a crane. But you can drive a crane up places. It's easier to rent, and so forth. Also, tidal power has to usually be in salt water, ocean water.
Corrosive.
Corrosive, not the friendliest to moving parts. Now, obviously, we have ships and boats around the world that are constantly moving around with turbine blades, so you could argue that.
But usually you can drive them into a port.
Yeah.
These you have to go out and get.
You kind of have to go out and get. So,
but I mean, I will say offshore wind, you got to drive a boat out to those too. So, I mean, maybe that's a wash. I don't know. I can't wait to see what those costs are.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this technology is, especially for certain places in the world where either you don't have a lot of wind or you don't have a lot of solar, but you do have a tide that moves in and out every day, because that's basically determined by the rotation of the earth. And like you might say, like for
and
solar, right, like the sun comes up every day, but it might be cloudy. Well, the sun coming up every day causes the tides to do their thing, so that is what kind of spurs stuff to happen, and you get to take advantage of both the tide coming in and going out with an ocean turbine.
I just don't want a lot of comments about we forgot about the moon. Yes, the moon has a big role to play there.
So why is there an asterisk in this story's headline?
Oh, you mean the Honda to go all electric by 2040? Asterisk.
Yeah, what's the asterisk for?
Well, because Honda's new CEO, Toshihiro Mibe, announced last week that his goal is for Honda to make only all-electric cars by 2040. But this will include hydrogen fuel cell vehicles.
Ah, I see. Now, you might be saying, what's the big deal, Zach and Jesse? Honda wants to be clean and green by 2040. But it all depends on how you make the hydrogen.
Exactly. If you get that hydrogen by taking water, H2O, and using renewable energy like solar and wind power to get the hydrogen, then you do have a clean car.
But if you get the hydrogen by taking natural gas and stripping the hydrogen off of it, you're creating CO2. So basically, it's only a clean fuel once it's in the car. Before it got to the car, it was a byproduct of the fossil fuel industry, and that's why the fossil fuel industry loves hydrogen.
Yeah. So, thanks, Honda. All right, you want an all-electric aircraft that seats 7 passengers and has a 575-mile range?
Yes.
Then Denver, Colorado-based Buy Aerospace is what you want to hear about because they just announced the eFlyer 800 that does just that. It cruises up to 320 knots, has 35,000-foot ceiling. It has safety features, including 2 wing-mounted electric motors, each with dual redundant motor windings, quad redundant battery packs, and a full airplane parachute. There's even an option for supplemental power solar cells and in-wheel electric taxi.
Wait, what's in-wheel electric taxi?
You no longer need the props on to move the plane on the runway with in-wheel motors.
So that scene in Indiana Jones, spoiler alert, but I mean, this would basically mean that when you're taxiing around, it would just be like a plane-shaped car. It wouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to kill you. Oh, I'm a blender.
I just wanted to talk about innovation here for a second. I just always thought that planes to move around had to have the jets or the props running. But now as I thought about it, yes, exactly. In-wheel motors, it saves so much energy because props, that's not a great way to move a plane around on the ground.
On the ground. right?
Right. In the air,
In
it's
the
great.
air, it's like, what are you gonna do?
The landing gear has to be longer. We can't get up to altitude.
All right, so how much is this eFlyer? Because I think I want.
Well, the smaller eFlyer 2 is $489,000. The eFlyer 4 is $627,000. So the 800, which they have not announced a price on, is probably around $1 million. But you know what they say about jets?
What?
If you have to ask, you ain't getting one.
Oh, it's too much. Yeah. But the thing though with jets is it's the maintenance that's the most expensive part.
Exactly. This is 1/4 the maintenance.
So that means that more people could own private jets.
Yeah.
Because-
And not feel bad about it.
You don't have to
'cause
feel as bad about it.
That's the
A.
big thing, right?
B, less maintenance because there's no jet stuff to have to worry about. Quieter. You do need a pilot or have a pilot's license.
Yep.
But I would feel a lot more comfortable flying an electric plane than I would like a plane with fuel in it.
Yeah.
And especially when you have the full plane parachute.
Oh, and I know what you were going to ask. You were going to ask what happens when you run out of juice, right?
Right.
Has a backup battery, like 45 kilometers of backup battery. So like even when you get to the airport and they're like,
You're going to have to circle around a few more times while we wait to land the runway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and
You're
I
okay.
mean, you can run out of fuel in a regular airplane.
Exactly.
You can glide.
right.
I wonder though if you could go into a steep dive and regen brake using the
That's a good point. Or, I mean, the solar option, just find
The
a sunny
solar
patch
option.
outside of the clouds and you're good to go.
right, or you land at somewhere, presumably parking lot.
Take off again.
Well, you could land on the highway and then just taxi down the highway.
That's true. You could drive home.
Park, charge up with the solar, pull back on the highway, take off.
Yeah.
Huh? That would be because
Illegal.
It would only cost you $1 million.
All right, it's time for the Starman Report. We got our buddy Eli here again. Take it away.
SpaceX just sent 4 more astronauts up into space this week. This is the 3rd crewed launch for Elon Musk's company in less than 12 months. All right, let's check out the highlights from the Crew 2 mission launch.
And here they come, the Crew 2 astronauts taking their first steps outside before their journey to space.
So at this very moment, SpaceX is the only launch solution for the United States to carry crew into space. There are other companies certified for cargo resupply missions and for delivering research hardware, but the SpaceX Crew Dragon is the only vehicle that the USA has right now that's actually certified by NASA to conduct human spaceflight. Thank you so much for watching this segment of the Starman Report. And, yo, what the heck?
Thank you so much. What, Eli? You got to be more careful of your teleportation technology. This is
What just happened?
actually pretty cool.
What? Is that your name?
Whoa,
Dude.
hello! This is fun.
Wow.
Check this out.
You're Starman.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
Check this out.
huh?
You know, we should go outside and do some shots in front of the car.
Ooh, with the flamethrower.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really nice material. This is cotton with a little bit of spandex in it. I was expecting like I don't know what I was expecting, like Halloween, like polyester,
Yeah,
and tear.
I feel like you could sneak into the SpaceX facilities and just like walk past everyone, get right onto the Crew Dragon.
Especially if I had a helmet
Yeah.
on. But I mean, I feel I'm going to do the rest of the show in this.
And if you want to get your Starman suit, head on over to starmangifts.com where you can get them for kids or grown-up kids. All right, it's time for Into the Future, and you are dressed for it, my friend. It's time to play Is It a Boat or Is It a Plane? Here it is. Let's put 15 seconds on the clock. Okay. This is the Sea Glider by Region, a new Boston-based startup that is working on this all-electric 10-passenger boat or plane. Which is it?
Well, it sits in the water and then it takes off and it glides over the water. So it's like a seaplane, but it doesn't go up high and it docks like a boat, but it does fly.
Oh, I'm so sorry you didn't answer it on time, but you aren't going to leave us empty-handed. Your consolation prize is a year's supply of Simpsons individual Emperor stringettes. The Now String. Ready cut, easy to handle. Simpsons individual Emperor stringettes, just the right length.
So I'm actually interested in this Sea Glider. First question, I see the CGI video. Do they have a prototype?
No, not yet. CEO Billy Thalheimer says his team is working on a prototype and they should have one by the end of the year. He said the prototype will have about a 15-foot or 4.5-meter wingspan, will weigh about 400 pounds or 181 kilograms. We need to make sure it works in representative operational environments like in waves and different weather. Once the prototype is tested, Regent hopes to have a Sea Glider up and running, transporting passengers as early as 2025.
So what are the speeds and what's the range going to be?
Well, Regent says the Sea Glider will travel at speeds of up to 180 miles an hour, or 290 kilometers an hour, and have a range of over 180 miles or 290 kilometers.
So I guess the idea is that he would pick people up at an existing boat dock and ferry them up and down the coast rather than existing ferries.
Exactly. No emissions, faster. I reached out to the CEO. Hopefully we'll be bringing you more on this in the future. All right, it's time for Sunspots. All right, do you know what the power transfer cohort is, Corporal?
Power transfer cohort?
Do you have trouble understanding the words I'm saying, Corporal?
Corporal?
Drop and give me 20.
What?
Sorry. This next story is about the U.S. Army, and I guess I got a little carried away.
Okay, so what is this, the power transfer cohort?
Well, I guess that's Army speak for the Army's collaboration with private businesses to find a solution to powering the Army's fleet of vehicles using solar power.
Wait, the U.S. Army wants to have an electric fleet?
Well, it makes sense, right? I mean, the Army wants to have a future fleet of approximately 225,000 vehicles, all of which have to have a power source out in the field.
Right, because when you deploy now, you need a long supply chain of diesel fuel to keep all your tanks and Humvees fueled up.
So the Army is, as we speak, doing an 8-week virtual simulation with 6 different U.S. solar companies to see which can come up with the best solution to power the vehicles in the field.
The 6 companies include Coratech Service from Michigan, Serzo from Colorado, Fermata Energy from Virginia, PC Krause and Associates from Indiana, Tritium Technologies from California, and Wright Electric from New York.
And we hear that NATO is even now looking for a solar-powered tank. I thought of a way to stop it.
No, I'm sorry. Solar-powered tank?
Yeah.
It's hard enough to make a solar-powered car.
I know.
They mean like an electric tank and you have a big thing to
I guess.
Is it going to be a little tank? I mean, I love solar power.
Maybe it gets followed around by Jeeps with big lights on them. I don't know.
Okay. Interesting.
And if you'd like to have a solar-powered house, which is, I think, a lot more agreeable, then contact our friends at EnergyPal. They're the solar and battery experts that help homeowners go solar for less. All right, it's time for video contributor stories. What do we got this week, Jess?
We've got Adam shows us how to play video games in a Tesla.
Hey, Zach and Jesse. I've enjoyed watching Tesla Time News and In Depth religiously for about a year now, but after watching your In Depth video on Tesla gaming, it got me thinking, is there a way to supplement the stock games on my 2021 Tesla Model 3 right now? After doing some research, I came to the conclusion it's not possible to download games directly, but what you can do is stream console games directly to your Tesla via the internet browser. That's when I came across Stadia by Google, effectively a YouTube but for video games. All you need is a controller, a USB cable, Google Stadia account, and an internet connection. Games-wise, there's a vast portfolio of console-based games that you can play, even Cyberpunk 2077 in your Tesla right now. If you sign up to the Stadia monthly subscription service, you can even get a 1-month free trial and get access to a number of console games for free. Even PUBG being a massive 100-player online battle royale game. You could, in theory, connect a headset to the controller and talk to your friends too. The main restriction you'll have is the minimum speed requirements. Stadia recommends 10 megabits per second. Here in the UK, I was getting around 17 megabits via LTE from the Tesla and similar speed from my home Wi-Fi. I personally think Zach and Jesse should test the service via Starlink, as the better the connection, the better the performance in theory. To conclude, even if you have the current gen Tesla models, you can enhance your gaming experience with this neat little tip. And if you like this, you can search Adam Well Informed on YouTube for more info. Now you know, from Adam Well Informed in the UK.
You can play
Adam.
those are real games.
That was freaking cool.
We have to do what he asked. We have to go test out Starlink in the car.
Yeah.
Let's go do it.
All right.
You're dressed for it.
Dressed for anything.
All right, it's time for the Patreon bonus stories. We're going to learn about how Australia is going anti-EV, and we're going to laugh about it. And we're going to talk about a new three-wheeled EV. So you can watch all this and more for just $1 a month. See you there. Well, Starman, we're back from the Patreon bonus stories. It's time for the shout-outs. Do you know how this works? I mean, do I have to explain it to you?
Don't worry. My mind has been uploaded from Jesse's brain,
Oh,
so
great.
I do remember. But I'm still very bad at pronouncing people's names.
Pronunciating? Yes. All right, who do we got, Starman?
We've got Gregory Scott Brown,
Nadine Welflin,
314159,
Roy B. Dudley,
Lemon von Fritter,
Mark Tate,
Ben Ho,
Andy B.,
Naem Ayob,
Matthias,
David Cox,
Max Shopforst,
Kelly,
Stan Fry,
Owen Stickler,
Lucas Dolzai,
Evan Cruz,
Jeff Null,
Troy Tarnacki,
Mark Gunning,
and Austin P. Carrington.
Thank you so much, guys. You make this show possible. All right, it's time for Elon's tweets of the week. And Tesla owners Silicon Valley said, our generation gets to experience sci-fi in real life because of the push for multiplanetary existence. Elon, SpaceX, and NASA are all making this happen.
Elon said, support for humanity's future in space is super appreciated. Let's make the sci-fi future we want real.
NASA tweeted out the footage of the Mars helicopter test, which you're seeing here.
And Elon said, awesome. Let's take a look at it. So that's a robotic helicopter on another planet.
Whole Mars Catalog said 100 people died in the United States today in car accidents. Over 3,698 worldwide. 137,000 people were seriously injured. This happens every day. Where is the outrage? Autopilot and full self-driving is an attempt to solve this once and for all, Elon.
Elon said exactly.
Ross Gerber said Dogecoin is worth more than Ford.
Elon said rolling on the floor laughing emoji.
So then Kim posted, today is Elon Musk Day, and I just want to thank him for the opportunity to test full self-driving beta. Tesla is trying to make driving safer for everyone, and I'm honored to even be a tiny part of it. Thank you, Elon.
Elon said, new full self-driving rendering approach coming that better represents neural net probability vector space.
Please translate, Starman.
I think what he's talking about is the rendering that's going to show the user what is going on in the computer. So what the neural net is thinking about.
Oh, so what we see on screen is going to change to better show what it's thinking.
I think that's what he's talking about.
Gotcha.
It's not going to necessarily affect how the car behaves outside of what they've already done to make the car drive differently.
Pranay says in 1995, Elon wanted to work with an internet company. He applied to work at Netscape, sent his resume, tried hanging out in the lobby, but he was too shy to talk to anyone, so he started his own internet company, Zip2, as he wasn't able to get a job anywhere.
Elon says, I could get a job, just not at an internet company. There weren't many back then. Yeah, because, I'm sure a lot of people are like, what, Netscape? What are you talking about?
Tesla owner Silicon Valley said, thank you, Elon, for making CGI real life and making life interesting rather than the same old boring cars and trucks each year. I'm stoked to see the apocalypse technology in the Cybertruck.
And Elon said, CGI in real life.
And then Sandy Munro was on TMZ.
We're moving into a safer environment. Anytime you can have 8 times better for anything, that's the right way to go. Now, is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. And that's why it's not self-driving vehicles. But it's a lot better than the average that we've got right now, which is, like I say, every 500,000 miles, somebody's going to get into a crash.
It sounds to me like you would not be a fan of putting this self-driving technology on pause until it's perfected.
I would be furious. if we don't start doing something for the reduction of car accidents, and we are staring at something that's already 8 times better, and it's only been in the marketplace for a few years, I mean, that's criminal. Whoever decides to throw that out, they definitely don't have the general public at heart. That's a fact.
And Elon said,
Sandy Munro knows what he's talking about. I do not want to put down Sandy Munro.
No way.
This is not a put down. Last person I thought would ever be on TMZ.
Hey.
But hey, great job, because
different people are going to hear.
Yeah, that's a completely different audience. I don't think that they've ever heard of even thinking about full self-driving cars. I'm glad that you're making them think about things.
And then this is a clip from the XPrize video that came out this week. Elon said, I was very curious about what's the meaning of life. I had an existential crisis when I was 11 or 12, came to the conclusion that we don't know the answer, but if we increase the scope and scale of civilization, we have a better chance of understanding the meaning of life.
And Elon responded to that tweet and said, this is the essence of my philosophy. And I think that he's right, because, I mean, think about like the Middle Ages. What were they working on, and what did they think the meaning of life was compared to now? Being able to expand the scope of humanity means that you have more minds working on the same problem. All the benefits of technology and stuff. We could someday, hopefully, learn the meaning of life, which would be important, I guess.
Owen Sparks says, thanks, Elon, for returning spaceflight to the United States. The shuttle program ended just as I was starting to understand the whole space thing, and I was devastated. Now, crewed launches have become a regular occurrence, and soon we'll be landing on the moon.
Elon said, absolutely.
All right, so we had a poll last week. What was it?
The poll was, what do you think happened in the deadly crash in Texas?
Oh, our patrons are usually right. So what do you think? What was it?
Most people thought, I think someone was actually driving the car and either ran away or crawled into another seat after the accident.
Interesting. All right, it's time for community mail time. Our friend Fred sent us this photo of the 8-stall Supercharger in Alturas, California, which is about to open. And Lorenzo's team won. Lorenzo and his team want to thank all of you who voted for his team Provelosi in the Digi Edu Hack 2020 challenge. They won. Their Squiddy software got 1,160 votes. And look at the top there. It was close. If it weren't for you guys, I don't know if they would have won. You guys pulled it off. So that is pretty exciting. They're going to get to continue on with that awesome educational software.
One of our patrons is also a YouTuber. So I want to thank Joe and Tiffany. Great video. Hey, a nice shirt.
Nice.
And one of our eagle-eyed viewers spotted this license plate.
Does that say Model 3?
It does. But, of course, they didn't shoot it in landscape.
So you're going to make fun of them.
It would be very hard to tell.
And we got this video from a viewer in Utah of a Hummer EV in traffic. Now, it looks pretty torn up from off-roading on the Poison Spider Trail, which is nearby. And if you look very closely, do you see what it's doing there?
It's crab walking.
It's crab walking.
It's moving sideways and forward. So that's cool to see it in real life. It looks super beat up. Maybe they took the trim off preemptively, or maybe it fell off because they were driving it so hard, but then maybe they should make the trim better. But maybe that's what they were testing. I don't know.
All right, it's time for Supercharger reviews, and these are sponsored by our friends at Evannex, the Tesla community's accessory store. If you're looking for awesome accessories for your Tesla, then check out Evannex and use our discount code NowYouKnow to save you $10 on purchases over $100.
Hello, Zach and Jesse. Patrick Wiggins here at the brand new 12-stall. We got 6 on one side and 6 on the other. Brand new 12-stall Supercharger here in Draper, Utah, located in the south end of the Salt Lake Valley. We're just a short drive from downtown Salt Lake City. Easy to get to. Exit number 291 off of Interstate 15, east a couple of blocks, and we're on the south side of the road. Food options abound in the area, lots of places to eat within short walking distance, and we also share the parking lot with a grocery store. So you can go on in, of course, restrooms available, Wi-Fi as well. Load up on goodies, back in the car, and you're back on the road. And if you are passing through the area, unfamiliar with the area, you're certainly welcome to check out the Tesla Owners Utah Facebook page. Strike up a conversation, find out what's going on in the area. So that's all from Draper, Utah, and now you know.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. This is Eddie reporting from Shanghai. So behind me is the Tesla Supercharger version 2. There are 10 stalls here at the Shanghai Southern Mall. These are all version 2 chargers. And look, there's a lot of vehicles charging. And then on the base floor of the parking lot, here's a few made in China Model 3s and Model Ys and the Model X. and these are actually the test drive vehicles of the Tesla showroom in the Southern Mall. So since there's a mall around, you can basically hang out and grab some food, and I'm giving this supercharging station a 9 out of 10. Yeah, that's basically about the Shanghai Southern Mall Supercharger 10 stalls. Hope you enjoy it, and now you know.
Hello, Zach and Jesse. John from Nice talking. This is a brand new Supercharger, 16 stalls V3. We are very close to Highway A8 Marseille to Geneva. There's a big supermarket right here with a lot of shops, restaurants, and a cinema. I give 8 out of 10. I'm in a hurry to drive, but I can play beach buggy racing. Now you know.
Hey, Zach and Jesse, Jofo here, coming at you with another Supercharger review. I'm here at the Guilderland, New York Supercharger station. It's in Albany. I was kind of blown away when I got here. As you can see here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18, 19, 20 stall Supercharger station. And I am the only guy here. It's a 150 kilowatt station, and I'm maxing out about 135, which is like, I don't know, 535, 545 miles an hour of charge speed. Here at a mall with a Dick's and a Dave & Buster's, Apex Bowling. Not too convenient to get to off the highway, off the Pike, kid. And, you know, it's 150. So I love that it's 20 stalls and I'm the only one here. That's a unique experience. And I will say that I've noticed that the difference between the speed I get being the only guy at a 20 stall and being one of, like, let's say 3 or 4 other Teslas at an 8 or 10 stall station, the difference in charge speeds is negligible. And, you know, if it's really packed, you could get much slower speeds. But I don't think you gain a lot by being the only one compared to, you know, being one of a couple of Teslas. So I thought I'd point that out. Anyway, back to my review. Given the distance from the highway and all the other factors, I'd have to give it 6.5 out of 10. And now you know.
Yes, I love the Superchargers. Yes.
Thank you
Awesome.
for reviewing them. We have a spot on our website where you can see all of the Supercharger reviews laid out on a map so you know where they are. You can head it over to nowyouknowchannel.com, and we have the Supercharger review section where you can upload your own reviews.
All right, it's time for beautiful Superchargers. And thanks, Sean, for submitting this Supercharger location in Wells, Nevada. He says there's decent food options and clean restrooms. We should probably just do clean restroom Superchargers. That would probably be worth it right there. All right, it's time for new Superchargers. Now, these are all 250 kilowatt version 3s this week, so there's no need to say it. But I did make up for that by going a little crazy with the number of Superchargers per place. So what do we got?
We've got number 2 in Romania, the 8-stall version 3 in Bucharest, Romania.
The 12-stall in Sand City, California.
Number 213 in California, the 16-stall in Irvine Culver Drive, California.
Number 37 in South Korea is the 8-stall in Cheongju, South Korea.
Number 89 in France is the 16-stall in Avalon, France.
The 8-stall in Waldorf, Maryland.
Number 26 in Georgia is the 12-stall in Columbus, Georgia.
Number 47 in Sweden and number 617 in Europe is the 20-stall in Varberg, Sweden.
Number 20 in Mexico is the 8-stall in Zapopan, Mexico.
Number 7 in Delaware, and that's a tiny little state to have 7 Superchargers, is the 8-stall in Middletown, Delaware.
Number 5 in Vermont is the 8-stall in Williston, Vermont.
Number 24 in Maryland is the 8-stall in Towson, Maryland.
And number 1,023 in the United States, 2,709 in the world, is the 8-stall in Madison, Georgia.
Nice. All right, it's time for the Patreon giveaway, Starman. And as you may not know, every week we do a giveaway. This week's going to be a $30 gift card to EcoWare. If you want to get your name in the big barrel of fun, you just join us as a Patreon. And the more you support us, the more chances you have to win. Who's our winner?
The winner is William White.
Congratulations, William. You got yourself a $30 gift card to EcoWare where you can get yourself, I don't know, maybe a Starman t-shirt or something. Remember that we carbon offset everything on EcoWare, and when you buy a tee, we plant 10 trees.
Thank you so much for making it to the end of the show.
How you doing in that suit there, Starman?
It's a little warm, but hey, that's a good thing most of the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's because it's not crappy polyester. This is a durable material.
Yeah.
So I am just
look at
so
the patch.
pleased.
I mean, that is just.
Huh?
I mean, come on.
The patch and the name and the.
I'm looking forward to the
flag.
next SpaceX thing we go to, like a launch or something.
I'm looking forward to Halloween.
Oh yeah, that's
I'll tell
true.
you, I'm looking very forward to Halloween. I do want the helmet at some point.
Yeah. We got to start working on that.
Yeah, I remember there's this book that I read a long time ago. It's like Have Spacesuit Will Travel or something.
Uh-huh.
And they had you could have like little nutrient pellets in your spacesuit and a little water dispenser.
Really?
I don't really want that for the show. It'd be nice.
Because the show's so long.
It is so long. Thank you so much for watching the whole thing. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. Really helps out the show. And I mean, hey, we'd give you a hour's worth of free entertainment.
A lot of people have been asking me, how do we get our name on the end of the show? And for $5 or more on Patreon, you can get your name shouted out to you, and then your name will always be in the end credits. So that's how you do it.
Well, thank you so much for watching.
Now you know.